Good evening. The power to declare pandemic rule will shift to the Premier under laws designed to replace Victoria's state of emergency. Fines of up to $90,000 and 2 years jail await anyone breaking the rules, which Daniel Andrews described as a win for transparency and accountability. State political reporter Mark Santomartino.
Barricading the steps of Parliament, police keep those protesting pandemic laws at bay.
It makes me sick to the core.
As those very rules were tabled inside.
Just a few short weeks ago, he was calling for this very thing.
Shifting the power to declare a pandemic to the Premier.
This is modelled on the New Zealand law. There are elements of what happens in New South Wales and other states also. But we've gone beyond that in terms of accountability and transparency.
That declaration alone grants the government special pandemic powers to restrict movement, enforce quarantine, vaccination and more. After 4 weeks, responsibility shifts to the Health Minister, who can extend the rules indefinitely, 3 months at a time, but only after seeking advice from the Chief Health Officer.
I'll make account of my advice, the Minister will make account of his, and that will apply, this is not about me, that'll apply for every Chief Health Officer, Minister and Premier into the future.
That advice must be published for everyone to read, voters who will ultimately hold those calling the shots to account, as will an independent committee.
They have no veto powers, they are a consultative committee only.
We see these laws as an incredible attack on democracy.
Matthew Guy vowing to fight a law that's assured to pass, with the support of 3 critical crossbenchers who helped design it.
It's been written in a way so that there is unprecedented scrutiny.
There is no health advice that is as transparent as what's being proposed now.
QR code and contact tracing data will be used for public health purposes only and not be able to be accessed by the police.
However, they will be able to access massive fines, up to $90,000 for an individual, $455,000 for businesses, or up to 2 years jail for anyone caught breaking the rules.
It's for the most egregious and deliberate of offences that cause significant public harm.
Why would the government pass such extreme legislation if they didn't intend to lock us down again?
If anything, it's for the lockout. The unvaccinated will be targeted by a clause defining specific classes of Victorians, Martin Foley balking at the suggestion that rule could be improperly applied to others.
Any suggestion to the contrary is pretty offensive, and one that I refute, and one that it can't be considered.
I would just point out that we refer to attributes and characteristics in some form or another with a whole bunch of the public health directions. When we referred to intimate partners having the opportunity to see other individuals.
Let's go live now to Mark at State Parliament. Mark, when will these laws come into effect?
Will be covered by the state of emergency until the 15th of December. Pete, hearing about the possible next pandemic would have been quite painful for Melburnians, given we're not even out of this one yet, particularly given some inconsistencies around getting vaccinated for staff, whether it's in hospitality or retail timelines, and even rules like the playground ban. The concern isn't so much about these new laws, it's how they'll be applied. Ultimately, though, there's no more passing the buck to health advice. We know that the responsibility sits squarely on the shoulders of both the Premier and his Health Minister, who will face the greatest accountability test of all next year as Victoria heads back to the polls for the state election in November. Pete?
If you see something, say something.